Now, let's meet tonight's guest, shall we?
Yes, Desert Island Delight. It's Kirsty Young, everyone.
And Scotland film star Michael Sheen.
Michael!
Now, as you should, we are putting together our very first one-show exhibition, very exciting. Will you do us the honours of opening it for us later?
To the public.
I would love to.
It would be an honour.
Kirsty would like
Yeah?
We'd
Have
love
you
to.
opened anything before, Kirsty?
Probably a supermarket way back in the day, but
Have you?
Not for a while.
What's
You
your
have
rate?
experience, that's good.
More than you could afford.
Is it plus VAT? OK, now, Michael, you have opened something, haven't you?
I've opened a proper packet of crisps in my time.
No, come on. Haven't you done something in Port Talbot?
I did. I opened a youth club in Baglan, Port Talbot, my home.
There we are. So you're both good with ribbon and scissors?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
OK, was there a ribbon involved in this?
I believe ribbon was involved.
See, it's great when ribbon's involved.
There's always ribbon involved.
It's so Carpet Warehouse.
OK, we'll be speaking to Michael about his big celebrity football event at Old Trafford in a bit.
Yes, and we'll be hearing how Kirsty will be honouring the emergency services in a new award ceremony for unsung heroes.
Yes.
The Birdman!
Now, congratulations, Gary, first
Thank
of
you.
all. But how close were you to opening that parachute?
Not at all.
Seriously?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Straight out of the helicopter, I knew this is it, I'm going for it. I did have the backup of a parachute, but I had absolutely no intention of deploying it.
And what about the moments, you know, the seconds just before you leapt out of the helicopter, the final checks? You were checking the flight path, whether you had the right angle of descent, I would imagine, maybe the wind and things like that?
Yeah, myself and my wingman, Mark, he was helping me out with spotting where we should leave the helicopter. He's the guy that shot this footage. So thank you to Mark, it was fantastic. But, yeah, once we'd spotted and done some test jumps earlier in the day, we realised where it was we needed to go from, and it was then all about making that happen.
And thankfully for your wife and children, you were completely unharmed in this.
And any future children,
And
perhaps?
any future children. But, weirdly, the only person...
Sorry.
The only person that was harmed was our director, Dan. Let's have a look what happened.
Yeah, poor Dan. I guess I haven't really digested myself what's just happened. All right.
Fine.
You're right.
Yeah, fine. Someone's just fallen over there. Go on, Gary, you didn't fall over.
I fell from a much greater height than that, but...
Typical one show, isn't it? This guy leaps from a helicopter, 2,500 feet, not a scratch. Our director falls straight over, nearly breaks his leg.
The poor bloke, no one was interested.
No, I know.
They were all just there, no one...
Well,
no one...
you cared about him, thank
Oh.
you so much. Because they were all sort of in the moment. You had the extra capacity, didn't you, to think about other things, because you've been doing something much bigger.
You'd think with all that preparation, someone would have cleared up all those boxes someone left.
Well, let's talk about the boxes, because you want a special mention for the box people, don't you, Gary?
Yeah, I do. I'd love to say a big thank you to everybody that came down. I had huge support from a bunch of people I didn't even know. We put it out on various forums in the skydiving and base jumping world, and local people in Henley. You know, sponsors had brought people down, Braymont, the watch people, they gave me a nice watch to wear. You know, it was all just... Everybody just pulled together, and without them, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, when you hit a box, what speed were you doing? 70 miles an hour then, perhaps, something like that?
Mark?
Ish.
Is Mark...
Doesn't matter, take a wild guess.
About 65.
About 60. OK, I was 5 out, I apologise.
65.
All right. So when you hit boxes at 70 miles an hour, well, how does it feel?
In truth, because of the preparation and the size of the boxes we were using, I felt absolutely nothing.
But you've no scrapes, not like, oh, God, you know.
No, nothing at all.
But you have been lucky that it worked. Is it time now to pack up the suit in a box and
Never
call it a
gonna
day?
happen.
Absolutely not. No, I've got some other things in the pipeline, but
Like
they're
what?
top secret. Well, all right, not suit-related.
Not that secret.
Not necessarily this suit-related. I'm going to get fired as a human firework.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But obviously I've got to convince people that it's going to work. But I'm hoping that this is kind of a springboard to allow that to happen.
And convince your wife more than anything.
Oh, she's all right.
Oh, she's all right. Well, that's good.
Is it true?
She's not going to be in the firework.
We heard a story that you carry that suit, your flying suit, with you wherever you go, just in case there's a flying opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, that can't be true, is it?
I have a rig with me most of the time.
A rig?
Yeah,
Okay.
so a base rig, so, you know, I could...
Stop, look
I
now.
could go off there.
Calm down.
OK.
Well, I think we've still got some footage of Beachy Head and the Eiffel Tower. Oh, we've got some stills, actually. Were these opportune moments? Surely you must have realised the Eiffel Tower was in Paris. You didn't just drive up and go, oh, there's the Eiffel Tower.
No, we specifically went there for that one, so that was a day trip.
Beachy Head?
That was another day trip.
But when you jumped off the Eiffel Tower, did they know you were going to do that, or did you just go up as a tourist?
Yeah, it was. I had my parachute in a backpack, in a rucksack.
Is that naughty?
You tell me.
Did you get arrested?
No, not exactly.
Well, listen,
There's quite a long story that goes with it, so I won't bore you with it.
all right, well, bore us with it afterwards. We're fine with that. OK, Gary, round of applause for Gary. Nice looking.
And faithful well, which is more to the point. Now, Michael, you do get a mention in this next film of ours, and we think you're going to like it.
Yeah? Are you thrilled?
I am.
Let's find out. Ruth Goodman's been to your hometown to shout and learn all about one of your heroes.
In this house in Connaught Street, Port Talbot, lived a man as Welsh as they come, and with a voice to match.
Hush. The babies are sleeping. The farmers, the fishers, the tradesmen and pensioners, cobblers, schoolteacher, postman and publican, the undertaker and the fancy woman, drunkard, dressmaker, preacher, policeman, the webfoot, cockle women, and the tidy wives.
That valleys-bred voice could only belong to the actor Richard Burton, and he first learned its full power out here on the hills above the coal and steel town of Port Talbot. But when he first roared into life in 1925, it was not as a Burton, but a Jenkins.
Richard was born one of 12 into a Pontrydyffin mining family. When his mother died later in childbirth, he was sent away from an alcoholic father to his sister, Cecilia. Here in Caradoc Street, Cis gave him the one-on-one attention he craved. But this didn't go down well in his new home, as Richard's old friend Betty remembers.
The husband didn't get on very well with Richie. I think there was a bit of jealousy. I think his wife made more fuss of Richie than he did. And that's what we thought at the time, at any rate.
Richard left home, and at 16 he was taken in by his English teacher and mentor, Philip Burton, from whom he'd later take his name. It was Master Burton who'd helped Richard develop that extraordinary voice in the parlour here at Connaught Street. Betty's mother was their landlady.
Mother used to come bang on the door, "Will you boys be quiet, please?" Philip used to give him tuition about how to speak properly and to try and get rid of the Welsh accent, which he had, you see. So they got on very, very well.
When it was all a bit too much for the neighbours, the hillside! What better way to learn voice projection?
From the Welsh Hills to the Hollywood Hills, via a rave success on Broadway, Richard signed to 20th Century Fox and became one of the highest-earning movie stars of the 60s. To Capitol, in 1964, he married the other big star of the decade, Elizabeth Taylor.
You're such a simp.
2 years later, in Warner Brothers' Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, their fiery portrayal of a marriage hitting the rocks was praised by the critics, much of it inspired by their marital problems off the set. Liz won an Oscar, but Richard would be nominated 7 times during his career. A far cry from the early days in the steel and coal town of Port Talbot. Richard's schoolboy diaries, held in Swansea University's Burton Archives, show he was already destined for greater things.
I was struck by the determination and the character that comes out of the pages. He's interested in drama. There's about 40 mentions of Richard going to the cinema. He's going almost every week. I think, the cinema was an exciting window onto the world for Richard.
Despite his later stardom, Wales never left him.
Well, by God, James Joyce was right. There is one place you do belong to, and it is, in my case, the place where I came from, which is Pontrydyffin. Stick for stick and stone for stone, blade of grass for blade of grass, virtually the same exactly as it was when I was a child.
The coal that once poured out of Port Talbot has all but stopped, but it still churns out great actors. Anthony Hopkins is from here, and so too the young Michael Sheen. Who's to say there won't be more? Mind you, it would be rather hard to match that voice.
Burton died at 58. Vodka and 60-plus cigarettes a day hadn't helped. He was buried in a Welsh red suit with Dylan Thomas poems by his side. There's talk of a blue plaque in Connaught Street to this Welsh legend. Here's one to be going on with.
Come on, what did you open? You just opened something.
Sorry,
you were just saying.
There was a blue plaque. Seeing that blue plaque, then there's a blue plaque on the first house that Richard lived in London, in Hampstead, which I was asked to unveil on the morning after I opened in Hamlet, and a part that Richard had played as well. Yeah.
Do you have a blue plaque in Port Talbot?
I don't have a blue plaque.
Not yet.
No.
He's not dead yet.
I have some dirty pavement stones.
That's the main criteria for that one.
I see.
Yeah.
OK, well, let's move on anyway. How much of a hero was Richard Burton to you, Michael?
He's got a blue shirt on.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, I've drawn a little blue plaque and stuck it on myself. Yeah, he was a huge, huge influence, you know, coming from a town where Burton Hopkins, Anthony Hopkins as well, came from.
They've produced some gems.
Yeah. Some incredibly successful people and talented people, as well as Rob Brydon.
I'm so pleased with that mention.
Of course, you're a friend of his, so you can say that. I hope.
Yeah, a massive influence, not just as an actor, but also just as someone who came from the town who did very well. Because, you know, coming from a town like Port Talbot, people not necessarily feeling that confident about, you know, people being interested in them. And so someone coming from there like Richard Burton, massive influence.
Now, a biopic is begging. Surely you must have had chats about a biopic of Richard Burton, you playing the main.
Yeah, I have. I was just saying to Kirsty, it's you know, it's a tough thing to play someone who does what you do, but does it better.
Yeah, but you don't mind tough, do you?
I don't mind. I don't mind tough. You know, that voice.
Can I just say, Michael just did the voice while that film was on. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was will you do it?
But that charisma, that, you know, it's just, you know, you hear those tones.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very hard to, you know, replicate that. But it's one thing to do that. It's another thing to kind of embody that man.
Is somebody writing the script for this?
I believe there is a script, but honestly, I would like to develop something myself one day, maybe, to do something. But because, you know, I think also something that affected Richard was coming from a town like Port Talbot and then going to Hollywood. And once you've left a town like Port Talbot, very hard to feel like you totally belong again afterwards, once you've done other stuff, and also feel like you don't totally belong in Hollywood because you come from somewhere like Port Talbot. So I think I kind of identify with certain aspects of that. So I'd like to explore that kind of thing.
And of course, you went back to Port Talbot to do The Passion.
Yeah.
And that you came in, actually, didn't you, last year, to talk about it. So 2,000 people from Port Talbot took part with you in this play. We've got some footage here.
Yeah, it was a non-stop 72-hour performance. One performance lasted for 3 days, non-stop, over the Easter weekend. Over 2,000 local people involved with putting it on. And it began with about 200 people watching what happened on the beach Good Friday morning at about dawn, and ended on the Sunday night with 15,000 people standing around about watching the end of the show. It was a sort of life-changing experience. Yeah. And I know, Chris, you were incredibly supportive.
Oh no, it was amazing. How could you not be?
Amazing.
You love to push the boundaries. You know, what's next? What's in that crazy mind of yours? There must be something simmering away.
It's hard to know where to go.
Well, you're playing football in 90 degrees heat on Sunday. That's pretty crazy.
15,000 people was not enough, so I'm going for 70,000 people at Old Trafford Sunday night.
We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, Kirsty, we'll come on to you, because you're here to talk about the brand new BBC 999 Awards.
Yes.
Now, it's very special people being nominated for these awards. You will honour them on the night,
Indeed.
Along with Matt and I think.
Yes, I think you're going to come. There's going to be a special award. I'll tell you a little bit about the awards. The reason that they've come about is I don't know if you're going to the BAFTAs on Sunday. It's the BAFTAs. People in television and the movies are very good at giving themselves awards, but we really know that what we do doesn't really matter that much. There are so many people who work in the emergency services who for 75 years 999 has been going, and they are, I mean, the phrase unsung heroes is such a cliche, but it certainly applies to these people. So a dozen awards, we're going to give them out to people from all the emergency services, including 999 operators, actually. Again, these are people who very often save lives. And on the night, it's going to be a very big, swanky celebration with some very big, swanky people there.
And how did people qualify for these awards?
Well, they have been judged not just by their peers, so it's people that they work with who we have gone to and said to all the individual awards, can you tell us about people who've, you know, every day these people perform the most extraordinary tasks. They do things that most of us would run in the opposite direction from. So we've asked their peers, and then they've been judged by people at the very top of their professions, so the chiefs of the fire services and the police organisations and so on. When it comes to the special One Show Award, that I know you're going to give details.
That's right, we'll give details next week, yeah.
Yeah. Those people are going to be nominated. They're just members of the public. They don't work for the emergency services, but we want people to vote for a member of the public who has done something extraordinary, something that has saved a life, something that is above and beyond what most people would ever do.
And there are going to be tears, aren't there, on the night?
Of course. It is going to be a roller coaster of emotion. I've just been reading through the nominations, and already, you know what it's like. You know, once you've had kids, you cry at anything. Well, that's what I now cry
Which
at
I never
anything.
understood until
No,
it happened.
I never understood that.
Mum, why do you watch the news?
I
Why do
know.
you get so upset about it? Don't watch the news. But now, of course, you understand.
Yes, the first time I was pregnant, when I was pregnant, actually, I cried at ground force at somebody's decking, and that was the moment that I crossed the Rubicon.
stepping on ground force, to be honest.
I crossed the Rubicon, but the stories are incredible, and I suppose the great thing about the 999 Awards is it's an absolute celebration, because out of all of some of them very distressing, tragic stories, there's triumph at the end. These are people who've saved lives, and you know what
And
people say.
a lot of people are scared of watching these award shows because they don't want to be upset. Yeah, I can't watch it. It upsets me too much. No, but it's the right kind of being upset, isn't it?
And as well, it's more of a celebration of their work, isn't it? It's not, you know, a time to get upset. It's to, as you say, to honour these unsung heroes.
Well, do you know what? All human life is there. I mean, sometimes, yeah, they can make you feel a bit sort of tender. I mean, I work on Crime Watch, and I have to say, every month you go through the roller coaster of thinking, I watch all the reconstructions, talk to the senior investigating officers, and you think the world's a hellish place. And then every month the calls come in, and every month we get the most extraordinary leads, and people help us solve cases. And I suppose the 999 Awards is similar in that you think, well, terrible things happen to people, but there are plenty of people out there who are willing to do more than the right thing, and that's what we're celebrating.
All right, let's hope you don't feature on the 999 Awards after this football match on Sunday.
Oh, don't!
Come and say Michael now! Yeah, the blue plaque may be needed.
I know, the old legs are creaking a little.
Are they
bit.
already?
Yeah.
OK.
Just a bit.
Anyway, last week on the...
Please don't do this at home.
What, not even an Olympic year? You can have a flame in the kitchen, haven't you?
Not that big, though.
No, OK.
You wouldn't have eyebrows left.
No.
No.
Well,
okay.
you wouldn't notice, would you, really?
No, that's true, really. But anyway. Now, the firefighters loved... Hello, Jay. They loved the flambe food there.
They did.
What was your favourite one, then?
I think it has to be crêpe Suzette. You know, you don't like crêpe Suzette?
Well, it's a bit orangey.
Bit orangey.
You can make it less orangey, I think.
It's a classic. All that marvellous liqueur, sugar, alcohol. Brilliant.
I tell you what,
pancake.
it doesn't happen enough in restaurants now, crêpe Suzette. Bring
There-
the theatre
there are
into the dining room.
Health and safety issues.
No.
I'm afraid that...
Kirst, do you have some experience of the catering trade, don't you?
I do. My old man's in the restaurant business.
Yeah, well, tell us about...
He loves a crêpe Suzette. He loves anything carved at the table.
Have you heard about any health and safety issues with the crêpe Suzette?
Not in his restaurants. They just get on with it.
I was talking to a chef this week about it and said, well, we can't do it in ours. The ceilings are too low.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm just passing on what I know. I'm merely a reporter.
Shall we get on to Olympic news?
Yes.
Shall we get on to
Come on,
Olympic
then.
news? So we've had a bit of a preview of what the prices could be at the Olympic site for food and drink. There was a test event this week, recently. They're pretty high, £2.40 for a standard coffee.
How much?
£5.90 for a hot dog. It better be a very good hot dog.
Is that a real dog?
It's a real dog.
It's
in
very
a
expensive,
bun.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Well, I'm pleased
you know,
I haven't got tickets now. I
rounding
can't
up those
afford
dogs.
£5.90 for a hot dog.
I think the most controversial, and these were only the prices at a test event, it has to be said, was £1.60 for a bottle of water, particularly as you're not allowed to take water onto the site in amounts more than 100 millilitres. They will, by law, obviously have to have drinking fountains on the site, but they do seem to be able to stoke controversy even when they don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to you earlier on about the Masters, the US Masters in Augusta, the huge golf tournament. They're one of the majors. And they actually do the opposite there. It's $1.50 for a beer and $3 for a sandwich, because they've made this sort of pledge to look after the fans of their sport.
Well, there are good reasons for doing that. We know why the tickets cost so much. There's a lot of money has gone into putting the Olympics on. But perhaps once you get in the ground, you shouldn't therefore be having to pay £1.60 for a bottle of water.
Should we have a quick chat about tickets? Because there's more
Have you
tickets
got
being
tickets?
discovered.
No.
No,
Well, they found
Kirsty?
300,000 more today, haven't they?
But what, down the back of a very large sofa?
I don't know. This is true, though, I think. I think they found 300,000 more.
They have.
I put in for an enormous number of tickets, knowing it would be difficult. I mean, serious amount. I got 2. the beach volleyball.
Oh, well! They're the tweets again.
It's what happened.
But you know,
You've won.
You know this year they're not going to be wearing bikinis. You know that, don't you?
Well, and that's why I'm not actually taking them. We're going on a holiday on the day, and I'll have to just pass them back to somebody else.
What about Olympic food?
Yeah, so this Olympics, 2012, the last time it was in London was 1948, and that was during rationing.
Yep.
And so we've had a look at what the athletes had there. I have a board here showing us what they had.
This is then?
This was then in 1948. So the average adult ration was 2,600 calories, but the athletes had 5,500, made up, it has to be said, from a lot of fat and carbohydrate. You can see that there's meat, 6 ounces a week there, 1.5 pounds of potatoes, 2 pints of milk. We had Lionel Price on last week, didn't we?
Yes.
The Olympian from 1948.
The basketball player.
And his big memory was eating potato sandwiches, which is carbohydrates squared, isn't it?
What's not to like about potato sandwich?
A sandwich, basically.
Potato sandwich. The luxury, he remember, was bits of pineapple. That was a real luxury at the time. Some of the foreign countries competing, I'll put this down, some of the foreign countries competing, they were a bit concerned about their athletes, so the Chinese were sending in oiled bamboo shoots, the Mexicans were sending in offal, and the French, a whole refrigerated train full of Mouton Rothschild.
That is so French, isn't it?
Isn't it?
They sent in a refrigerated train for their wine.
They did.
What a laugh. And red wine, Mouton Rothschild.
I would assume so. I think there's
Bizarre.
also one.
It's been a very hot summer.
Yeah.
1948. Just going to welcome the whole of Wales who've just joined us.
Hello.
Hi, Wales.
Look who's here, Michael Sheen.
It's Michael Sheen, your very own Michael Sheen.
Why weren't Wales with us
And
before?
Kirsty Young.
And Welsh Scotland,
Welsh,
Kirsty Young.
No, but Scottish, so they like
And I've been to Wales.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you came back. They let you back out again. Or back in again, I don't know.
All right. Now, one of the
I
reasons...
know, OK.
Kirsty got whipped by the lemur's tail there in that video.
I did. That's a badge of honour being brushed.
She's very calm. I would have jumped a mile.
Well, it's a very aggressive lemur. He's just knocked my photograph over in the cage.
Really?
Yeah, on the film.
Oh, he looks quite happy there, Curtis, though, chewing on his leaf.
He's just chewing a few apple leaves, Chris. He's absolutely harmless.
He's having
and
a nice
gorgeous
Friday, isn't he?
In equal measure.
And also, he's enjoying the hot weather.
It's Foodie Friday.
It's Lemur Foodie Friday.
He's a beautiful ringtail lemur called Curtis. He's comes from Amazing Animals in Oxfordshire. He's born and bred in captivity. He's a male, so I'm afraid, Michael, Chris, he's bottom of the pecking order. Ringtail lemurs, females are kind of totally in charge. It's a matriarchal society. He is bottom of the bottom.
We know the
lowest
score.
of the low.
We know the score, don't we, Mike?
I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But a 4 I could pull it.
Can lemurs like Curtis survive in the wild, then?
Certainly not in the wilds in Britain. He's born and bred in Britain. That's all he knows. He's got no tools to survive, really, in the UK. The climate here is kind of mild and wet, apart from at the moment. Over in Madagascar, it's hot and humid and cool and dry. No chance. Predators, he doesn't know what the predators are. He can be picked off at any time. He's not very good at the Green Cross Code, I have to say.
Oh.
So he'd probably get beaten up on the roads. And he's imprinted on humans as well, so he thinks we're our friends.
OK, now, Madagascar, it's tough for the lemurs that are there, I understand.
Oh, it's really shocking what's going on, Chris, to be honest. The big problem, habitat loss, deforestation. All the trees have been chopped down. Most of the lemurs live in forests. And what's happened here is all the trees have gone. You can't, basically, they can't soak up the water when it rains. It runs off, floods the whole area. And look at these massive plantations here where the trees should be. So, unfortunately, the crops and plantations are done for them. And also, as well, I'm afraid Malagasy people like to eat lemurs.
Oh, no.
What a shame. How could you eat this gorgeous little beast?
C'est impossible.
Oh.
He's very cute. He's one of the cutest animals I've ever had on the television.
I like
Thank
his
you.
little paws.
Hey, Mikey!
Where were we?
He's carrying it. Right, now, other escapees, please, that we might want to hear about.
Other escapees. We've got amazing footage here of an unimaginatively titled golden eagle called Goldie that escaped from Regent Zoo in 1965. Look at this, attacking the dog. But watch this, the dog gives easily as good as it gets. And eventually the golden eagle was retrieved by the keeper after 12 days with a long line of rope and rabbit. It took 12 days to capture the golden eagle. Bear in mind, this is an animal that lives in the wilds of Scotland and would never normally be in the kind of city centre of London. And finally, we have another clip, Chris.
Yes.
Of Laddie the sea lion. This escaped from Longleat Safari Park in 1988. Apparently, the keepers did a head count, found out one was missing. Took 2 days to find Laddie, and she swam 30 miles down to the canal, stopped at the lock. They couldn't capture her, so they brought her pup to try and lure her back.
Ah.
She wasn't at all bothered about her kids. But she carried on swimming. Eventually, there's the keeper looking concerned. They managed with food, like I'm doing, with this little beast, to entice her down to the culvert and then captured her. And of course, you know, she wouldn't have survived either. So it's a happy story.
It's all in the happily ever after. Michael, thanks so much.
And thanks to Curtis.
And thank you to Curtis, whipping her in the face. Beautiful.
It's a shame we didn't get that on camera.
Was it a whip or a waft?
It was a whip.
No, it was a whip.
Did it hurt? Was there pain?
But I quite liked it. Go figure.
That was my next question.
See, I think Angelica did a good job. She's pretty good.
Very good job. I love ping pong. Who doesn't like ping pong?
Who likes ping pong?
I love it.
Show me a person who doesn't love ping pong. I'll show you a person who doesn't love life.
But you were telling us, Michael, that Susan Sarandon has a ping pong club in
She
LA.
does. She has a ping pong club in New York.
In New York.
There is one in LA as well, but I was in the one in New York just a few weeks ago, and I played table tennis, ping pong, with Chandler from Friends. How showbiz is that?
More importantly, who won?
He beat me, but he's got a robot at home. I kid you not. He has a machine at home that plays table tennis with him, so he
That's
can
so
practice.
LA, isn't it?
He's not busy then.
He's not busy, no.
No, he's not busy.
He was very good.
Should we sort of subtly bridge from one sport to another?
Yes.
Oh, look, it's a football tactics map, everybody.
Beautiful.
Tell us what's going on Sunday.
On Sunday, there is the biggest pro-celebrity football match ever in the world for Soccer Aid, all for the greatest children's organisation in the world, UNICEF. All money raised goes to UNICEF to save children's lives around the world. We have a team, England versus the rest of the world. England's captain is Robbie Williams.
Yep.
Captain of the rest of the world is me. And here are my celebrities
Here is the
on my
rest of
team.
the world.
Here is the rest of the world. We have half ex-pros and then half celebrities.
But you've got some massive names here. I mean, yourself, obviously, you've got Will Ferrell there.
I don't know what Gordon Ramsay's doing in goals. He's not in goals. Patrick Keelty's in goals. Gordon Ramsay will be out.
Mike Myers over there.
Mike Myers.
Jared Butler.
Jared
Now,
Butler.
how were all these people convinced to come over here to take part in this event?
Will Ferrell is the biggest film star in the world, isn't he?
Yeah.
Partly because Woody Harrelson played 2 years ago. It happens every 2 years. Woody Harrelson, who didn't have a lot of form playing football, I have to say. Hadn't really played a lot of it. Hadn't seen a lot of it. Hadn't kicked a lot of it. And yet stepped up to take a penalty, because it all went to penalty shootout at the end. And I'd run out of players to take penalties. It was sudden death. I thought, right, Woody, off you go. He could barely kick a ball at that point. That's what happened. And we won.
Also, I mean, from what you just said there, even if you can only barely kick a ball, you can still beat Jamie Theakston in goal.
Apparently so. Apparently so. But Woody now Woody has that on his phone, and he goes around showing everyone that on his phone. And he convinced Will Ferrell and
Ed Norton, by the way.
and Edward Norton to come over and take part in it this year.
Brilliant. And Robbie Williams apparently is still sour, isn't he, that you won the last time?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's out for revenge this year.
What's the chances then of the rest of the world winning this time, do you think?
Well, we've got, apart from our celebrities, obviously we're all brilliant. We also have ex-pros like Roy Keane, Jaap Stam, Edwin van der Sar,
that helps.
Crespo, Freddie Lundberg. You know, we've got these incredible players playing with us. So I think what we lack maybe in the celebrity area, we make up for in the pros.
A couple of things about playing at your age with your level of ability, regardless of how good you are.
I mean, in my mid-20s.
Yeah, that's right. First of all, it's going to be really hot on Sunday. So you do, I mean, it's going to be 90 degrees at Old Trafford, probably 90 degrees pitch side.
Well,
you've got to be genuinely, you've got to be careful.
You have got to be careful. The match is going to take place in the evening.
Still be hot.
So, yeah, the kick-off at 8 o'clock. Kick-off at 8 o'clock.
Baking all day.
Yeah. I know, my legs are already creaking a little bit. Yeah, so it'll be a bit cooler in the evening. That should help.
But also, as a you know, approaching middle age, I've had a game of footy. Whereas before, as a kid, you just run for the ball all the time. You have to select your runs, don't you?
You do. Do you know
Run once, leave 3 out.
What was funny the other day, we went onto the training pitch, because we've been training all week, you know, and everyone's there. And we all got out there, and, you know, they've got loads of footballs just hanging around. And you saw everybody just start trying to, like, kick the ball into goal. And Roy Keane said to me, it doesn't matter how high up you are, all you want to do when you get on the pitch is just shoot at the goal. And so Patrick Keelty's in goals, and all of us are just kicking balls at him in the goal. Bang, bang. It's brilliant. You just turn into an 8-year-old kid, you know.
And you're going to have a great time. Legendary parties after this. How come we only have it every 2 years? I mean, you used to be chomping at the bit for an annual occasion.
Yeah, well, it takes that long to recover from this.
I was going to say.
That's a good answer.
You know, but, you know, in the 8 years that it's, well, this is the 4th one, UNICEF raised £7.5 million.
It's a great match.
It's incredible. And this year, for the first time, the government are going to match pound for pound every donation. So everyone, please watch it on ITV on Sunday, 6 o'clock start. Donate, and the government will double your money. And we want to make as much money as we can.
I'm never enthusiastic for programmes for the enemy, but this one, I've got to say, is a belter.
OK.
So many brilliant photographs here. We've decided to have a real public display, and you can come and see this. You can come and see this here for the next week at Y City, and then it moves to TV Centre. But it's true, isn't it?
It's not on tour, I don't think.
Well, no, it's a bit of a tour. There's a journey involved. It's only 500 yards, but you can see it. Anyway, we've hired some special guests in to open this ribbon for us. Michael, you're in charge. Kirsty, you're also part of the action. If you'd like to make a speech, you're very welcome to.
I declare this ribbon well and truly snipped.
Yay! Come on to the photos exhibition. Come on.
OK, just time to have a look at a couple more of our favourites before we go.
Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome, but we're just going to talk about this photograph, so we just need to be able to see it. Thanks so much. This is Taff, who featured this photograph. Good evening, Taff. Welcome to the programme.
Nice
And this is your lovely daughter here, Mandy. And because he's Taff, we thought we'd bring you over here. You're happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about your Falklands photo, please, Taff.
This was taken, Chris, 30 years ago this week on board HMS Fearless in the Met Office. That's me, and that's my boss, Lieutenant Commander Wood. We were in San Carlos, and we were just getting some charts through, some Met Office charts. And that was a couple of days after that, we started getting attacked by the Argentinian aircraft. So all the smiles had gone by then.
All right, so that's what it reminds you of.
Yeah.
The calm before the storm, literally.
Yeah,
all right, well, Taff, thanks so much. We'll send your photograph back. We promise once the exhibition's over. Let's come over here. Let's say goodbye to everyone. Michael, over you go. Taff, Mandy, off you go.
Yeah, details of how to see these photos for yourself are on our website, bbc.co.uk/The Once Show.
OK, thanks, everybody, tonight. Good luck with everything, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the sunshine. Don't get burned. I did. Doesn't work. Bye-bye.